Hello and welcome to episode I don't know of the Destiny Community Podcast.
Yep.
This week, we have Jay Sniperton on board. Watts is here.
Hello, Poppet.
True Vanguard.
Yup.
And number one Aztec Cross fan, Mylan Games.
Okay, if you want to be added to the list of people I'm suing over infringement on copyrighted law material, yeah, I'll put you in there too if you want. All right, you have the papers by tomorrow morning.
Oh, it'll be good to go after Briar. He's got that trust fund money.
Does Australia law count? Like, can you sue me from over there?
Yeah.
I actually think. Don't you have to sue people you have to sue people in the country they live in, right? So it goes both ways. If you want to sue me, welcome to Australia. Come get me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll ride me kangaroo as fast as I can.
They're gonna arrest Briar and bring him to Australia for the court case.
Oh man, that's a long plane ride.
Yeah,
It is.
kangaroo court.
Fly you first class, get like horizontal.
Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about, but Mylan promised us an Australian fact today.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take him up on it.
I returned to
was
peak
put on the
form.
spot about. I was put on the spot about this Australian fact, and this is both an Australian fact and a Mylan fact.
Okay.
We have a wildlife park in Australia. Oh, in Western Australia, and they have like the wombats, the kangaroos. You can feed the kangaroos. They're all like very placid. You get like these little pellets. You got to feed them, and part of that is like ceremony day where you bring kids who are about to turn 1 and they pick out their forever root, the kangaroo that they're gonna bond with for life.
Oh.
And they like grow
It's like
up
picking
together.
your dragon?
And then, yeah, it's like picking like an MMO mount.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like picking your forever mount.
Yeah.
So, Leo found his forever mount, which he will ride to daycare. Well, they go on the pouch to go to daycare because they can't like saddle them yet. But when they go
they'll fall off. Yeah. Gotta keep the kids safe.
Saddle them up and then.
Could a human ride a kangaroo? Has that ever been done?
I don't think I've ever seen someone ride a kangaroo. I've seen people ride emus.
Sure.
I mean, obviously that would be the choice because they're so good in war. I mean, you should just ride them.
Your war emu.
They will never hit. You won't be able to get hit at you if you're on an emu.
I think
Bulletproof.
the thing is, I don't have the pictures with me now, but the ones that you could ride that were big enough for you to ride are big. Like they're the ones that have those huge chests.
Big muscles.
Yeah. Like they've been like working out. Yeah.
Yeah. They look terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they kangaroos can like all these ones are very placid, obviously at the park, but they will mess you up. They go on their tails and they kick you with their legs and
they don't tell you that when you go kangaroo boxing. They like the kangaroo shows up in like gloves and it's so cute, and then it like rears back and starts clawing you with its back feet.
Yeah.
Strong tail.
Yeah. It's a very strong tail and very strong legs. It can't.
Do they whip you with the tail sometimes? Turn around and give a whip.
Kicking.
Oh.
Nah, no crocodile
like a
whip.
Dark Souls boss. You gotta like roll through it.
Yeah, you need the iframes.
Yeah. Two of my favorite videos on the internet are of kangaroos. One is there's this dude dressed up in, it's not like a Barney costume, but when I say a Barney costume, you can kind of imagine like a big stuffed costume.
Yeah.
I think it's yellow. And he's sitting next to a kangaroo. And like it's some kind of news program or children's show. And the kangaroo is sitting next to this dude who's like right here. He looks at him. And he looks back, and he puts him in a headlock, and he just starts beating him over the head. And it's hilarious because this dude is just like, get me out of this thing. That's number one.
They did this headlock thing, yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Amazing. I highly recommend you try and find that on the internet. I'm sure it's still out there. The second one is this kangaroo was attacking this dude's dog. So
Yeah,
this
I've
dude
seen that
runs
one. I saw
up to
this
the
one.
kangaroo, puts his dukes up like he's like a 1920s bare knuckle boxer, and he's like, pop, pop. And the kangaroo's just like, yo, mate, what are you doing?
He's like, yo, hey,
He's
I
like,
don't
whoa,
like that.
whoa,
It's just a
whoa,
joke,
whoa,
man. It's just a
whoa,
joke.
God damn.
And he takes
no.
his dog and he goes home. That's an amazing one,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Mylan, question. Do the kids need goggles when they go in the pouch?
Good question. How messy is it in
It's
there?
it is
I was just
it
thinking.
is
what's in there?
optional.
Can you get pink eye from
It is
a kangaroo
optional.
pouch?
When they get to daycare, do they have to
So
take them
it's
out of the
clean.
pouch and like they have a spray system to spray the kids down from all the brew juice?
Oh, like
Oh yeah. It's just like it's like
airlock.
having work boots. You leave them at the front. You know, you park your kangi at the front. You jump out. You might need to wash off before you go inside. It's like gum boots, you know.
Sounds like a magical place.
yeah.
Magical, yeah.
If I have a kid,
You know, it'd be
I'm gonna take them
hilarious.
there so you
If
can
you
get a
could-
room.
If I could ever set that up, it would be so funny to invite someone over and literally have kangaroos parked at the front of your house with little harnesses.
Do people have kangaroos? Like, does anybody own kangaroos as like a pet or like a have them around?
Only like rescue ones, because sadly, like a lot get hit by cars when you're driving in country, and sometimes there'll be a joey in the pouch, so people often like will check if
Right.
there's a joey, and if there's a joey, they might raise it or give it to someone to raise. But
Yeah,
that's
pet kangaroo would be awesome.
It would be pretty cool.
yeah.
All you gotta
Yeah,
do is
you
run
can
over
ride
his
it to the
mom.
bar.
That's it. Then you can have one.
To the bar. Just don't let the kangaroo drink, okay?
Yeah, can you get a TWI for riding a kangaroo to a bar?
Racing kangaroo pink slips.
Racing kangaroos. I would go to kangaroo races. I bet that'd be a really fun day.
Fast and Furious means something completely different in Australia.
Fast and Furious Australia edition.
Yeah.
Hopping mad.
All right, thank you again, Mylan. Bringing that
Log
to
off
our
my
day.
facts.
Yeah.
No problem.
Good
More
facts.
facts next week. Tune in.
Oh man, you could totally use the kangaroo's pouch as a cooler.
A cooler?
Like a koozie.
Yeah.
To hold your beers.
Yeah. How many beers can you fit in a kangaroo pouch?
I
And ice.
imagine that
I need
as soon as you
ice.
open those beards, they're
I
gonna
don't
explode.
want warm
'cause they've
kangaroo
been-
pouch beer.
It's gonna be well shaken.
Not
Well, we
stirred.
saw a couple kangaroos with joeys there, and they're like, oh, bloody whole Joe was there. You just see his legs sticking out out of the pouch.
Okay.
I reckon you could fit a 6-pack for sure.
A 6-pack with ice?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
11 VB long necks.
Next.
How many cans of Foster can you fit in a kangaroo pouch? I know this research has been
Yeah,
done.
Oh, it's
That's
been a
your
minute
favorite
since
beer,
we
right?
bullied Mylan about Foster's.
Yeah.
it has been.
Too long.
There's been too many new hosts to bully me anymore. Now we've just done a circle back.
Those two are not in on the jokes. You know, we need to create a welcome package. There's like, must
Yeah.
talk about eating briar.
Oh,
Let's talk about
hey,
Foster's.
What the heck was
Part of the
that out of
onboarding.
nowhere? What we really should be doing is getting to know our new hosts, right? Is like,
That's true.
you know,
No.
where are you from?
Some Jade
What-
facts.
don't
What
need to
fucked
give you
up
any
shit
information
happens
there.
there?
You don't
What
need any
what
more
were you
ammo.
arrested for as a teenager?
Yeah.
There is actually a story where I was threatened to be arrested. so.
Okay. Do tell.
All right, let's
You
go.
really want me to tell that? Okay.
Yeah, just bring it up.
all right.
Yeah, you'll just like let that go.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I was like, what, like 23 or 24.
Oh,
and
so technically adult.
yeah, yeah, right. I got summoned for jury duty, and I went, and they're like, okay, you're done for today, but you have to come back to a different courthouse tomorrow. And they like gave me the information. It was like
Confusing.
completely across the town, like an hour and a half
Well,
away.
that's some bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had to be there at like 7:30 a.m. or some ridiculousness. And so I was like calling the night before, like trying to get, because I had like a project that was due that next day, and I was like, trying to tell them that I couldn't go, and because I had scheduled everything to go to that day, and it just never let me get through. So I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, was calling, never could get through, and I'm like, I guess I'll just call when they open, And they called me like 5 minutes after they opened. They're like, if you don't get here within the next 15 minutes or something ridiculous like that, an hour and a half across town, then we're gonna put out a warrant for your arrest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm freaked out. I've never been in trouble in my life. Like, I'm a rule follower. And I was like, I told her, I was like, you're being a little ridiculous right now. And she told the judge that I was like swearing and accosting her.
Oh my.
So I ended up going, and the whole time they basically stuck me in the corner during the entire like session. I was there till like 5, and then he had me come up in front of the entire courthouse. Like, I can have you like put in the like
slammer
for a couple of nights just for like wasting our time. And he said that like what the woman on the phone had said that I said, which was like completely untrue.
Yeah.
The only thing I said was you're being a little ridiculous, just with her tone and stuff.
You gotta love small people with big power. It's really just
and they got her out, and I'm like shaking. I've never been in trouble. They're like, you need to apologize to her, and she needs to accept it, or you're going in jail. And so I was like, I'll
take
crying.
jail. Fuck her.
I was upset. I didn't know anything about my rights or like what I was allowed to do, anything. So I was like, all right. So I apologized, and she's like, fine. And so I got like written up or something, and they're like, he's like, I don't know if it was a misdemeanor or something like that.
Did I go on your permanent record, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I actually
I'm going to jail now, bitch.
I got summoned for jury duty this year again. I'm gonna try to like.
Ooh, I hope the same lady's there.
You just tell them that you really hate cops, and you'll probably be okay.
Oof. Yeah.
Because if there's any cop that has to give a testimony, you can't do it because you hate them.
This is true. But yeah, I was like upset and like just felt completely powerless, and just it ruined like a month for me. I didn't know what to do. I was like,
ironically, you probably would have gotten in no trouble whatsoever if you just didn't show up.
I don't know. Is that I looked it up on the internet, and they said that they can like
they can
like, arrest
you, but they don't.
I'm sure they can.
I was like,
they can, but they don't.
Yeah.
Like, what are they gonna do? Send a cop after you for not showing up for jury duty?
I'm gonna test that theory.
Yeah,
I'm not that guy.
Yeah, do it. Let's see what happens, Jay.
Yeah, who wants to test that theory?
We're all curious now.
Yeah, this sounds like a good TikTok. Make TikTok part 1 and then do part 2. Like, what happens?
There was no part 2 because he's in jail.
That's true, actually. Yeah. So the Necromitch says, tell them after how you were treated last time, you no longer have faith in the system to be able to render an unbiased judgment.
Yeah,
there you go. I always just go with IBS. You'd be like, I can't sit through I have IBS. Like, I'm going to be in and out the whole time.
Don't they
I'm going to be
like
out there on the stand sitting in my own stuff. So you do not want me there.
I'm out here hoping that I get selected, because I actually don't trust the cops and want that guy to get off. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut, serve my term, and be like, I don't play for your team, bitches. I'm on his side.
I'm pretty sure we can all just say we host a podcast about video games, and we're all off.
I've got to get back to my 20 fans.
All right. So, guys, I've seen the YouTube titles.
Wait, hold, Brian. This week at Drama in Destiny, we have exotic changes taking the internet by storm.
I know that
was really good.
That was pretty solid.
Sounded like Saturday Night Live intro.
I know that.
No, you're like, who's the one on Niamuna? Who's the reporter?
Oh yeah.
Jisoo Colorado, whatever his name is.
Colorado.
Breaking news.
So what's going on, guys? I seen the titles. Everybody's pissed. What's happening?
It's a little bit of everything. Like, some of it's real cool. Some exotics got like complete reworks. And I mean, for example, chromatic fire never gets used, but they added you get a headshot kill with a kinetic weapon and something blows up. The thing blows up, but now it blows up bigger, does more damage, and they put status effects on it, so it can scorch. It can sever, it can weaken, depending on whatever your subclass is. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, I like seeing stuff go boom. So, but then there's other stuff that's really weird. Like, there's just a ton of exotics out there that grant these varying degrees of bonus damage, and they brought them all down to like a new baseline that's really low, and it kind of ignores all of the investment cost up front for running that exotic and just assumes that they're all equal. And I don't think it really works. So some good, some bad, and then some controversial. Like obviously, anytime you take a swing at Stompies, people are gonna feel very strongly. They're either gonna be like, "Ha, suck it, hunters, you freaking nerds," and then on the other end of that, they're like, "Bungie never lets me have fun." So
Yeah.
Stompies wasn't like a complete nerf. It was like they kind of bounced it a little bit. It felt like.
it's a give and take, but I think it was more of a take. And this is I'm not a Stompy main, so just kind of objective third party looking in. I think I would probably, if I was a Stompy main, I would probably feel like it's more a net nerf than anything else, because you basically don't get the benefits of the exotic anymore unless your dodge is actively cooled down. So you can't like use them both in tandem. You know what I mean? Like dodge roll, double jump.
Yeah.
It kind of takes away some of the fun movement tech that you can do with Stompies. So I just in general don't really. It's not that I have a horse in the race, and I mean, if they want to take a swing at Stompies after all this time, whatever, that's their choice. But I think it's kind of counterintuitive to like, to be like, we want you to do cool movement, but we're going to sacrifice your other like most integral movement option as a hunter in order to do it. Like that just seems a little counterintuitive to me. I feel like if you're going to do a give and take, like maybe you should take something else away that's not related to the movement kit. You know what I mean? So they can full send on movement. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think also a big part of the controversy about the Stompies change was that, but also the reasoning for it. So the reasoning that they said here is that permanent uptime for potent movement benefits that make targeting hunters in PvP very difficult on controller ends up making it too automatic of a choice. So people are like, so being able to like jump is too oppressive, but none of this other stuff is oppressive at all.
Antaeus swords are untouched. Young Amkar's spine untouched. Yeah, but jumping. Yeah.
Jumping.
The irony there is that they removed
TV. No, go on, Jay.
I was just gonna say they removed the airborne effectiveness penalty.
Yes,
that's
true.
And then they were saying that it's harder to target them in the air. It's like, well, so you're giving them the power to not have their airborne shots nerfed, but you don't want them in the air. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It is strange. It feels a bit.
I don't know. That kind of makes sense.
How does
right?
it
It's
feel?
like they're allowing you to have airborne or to have like more accuracy in the air, right? And you can still use the exotic to jump in the air. It's just that you can't. Now you have to use your dodge ability to use the exotic. That makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with
your dodge ability.
Right. You have,
to
not
never
use,
dodge. Yeah.
Right. Basically, you have to replace your dodge ability to use the exotic. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, what's you're a controller user, right? You're
Yes.
a controller user. TV, you're a controller user too, aren't you?
Affirmative.
Jay, do you use a controller? You're a mouse keyboard.
Guilty.
I'm a controller user as well.
Oh,
Guilty.
so how does it all feel that you guys literally can't use the right stick to look
I
up in the
can't
air?
look up, Miles. They're too high in the sky. I can't move that fast. It's too slow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to walk a fine line there. Like, I don't want to assume that I can speak for all varying skill levels of people. I think that there probably is people. There's people out there who see that nerf and they're like, yes, it is really hard for me to be mindful of all that vertical space and in real time. And I play on a low sensitivity, so then they launch into the sky, and by the time I get my reticle up there, I'm dead. I can understand if that's kind of where you are as a player. That would be frustrating, I guess. Personally, I've never thought to myself, like, if they didn't have Stompies on and didn't jump so dang high, I would have been fine.
I think it's a controller specific thing. Like I get caught out with people all the time who use verticality. Like it's the part of like being in the air is like you think they're gonna be on the ground when you move around the corner and there's some hunter flying like Batman towards you and you get taken out. Like that's sort of the fun part of it.
It's more likely to get me killed that I
very...
just don't like. I come through a door and I don't realize I see the radar blip is through this door, and I come through the door and I don't realize that they're 30 feet up in the air. I'm looking more ground level.
Well, and that's other stuff that people can learn. Obviously, using your ears and your radar effectively. Obviously, every single jump in the game has an audio cue. It's very distinct, so you can hear when a hunter jumps. You can also see that the radar ping goes from a solid red to a more translucent red, letting you know they're on a different vertical plane than you currently are. So there's definitely ways to bait it and be mindful of it, but I think it's a skill gap thing, and the more people play and the more familiarized they get with playing against those kinds of players, they'll learn to deal with them more. But obviously that's not where a lot of people play at in terms of skill level, and I understand that, and that's totally cool. So like I said, it's not that I'm very against a stompy nerf. I just think the way they went about it was just kind of odd.
Right. I think that in general, it just feels bad gameplay wise for your movement to feel so drastically different when you're playing, right? You have this, you're super far sliding, you're jumping higher, you're faster, and you've got a feel for it. And then all of a sudden, it's totally different, and your exotic is like not working at all. It's not like they just took away part of it when your dodge is down. All of it is gone. You are not wearing an exotic when you dodge, which it's a class ability. It's an important part of being a hunter. And I think the other part of the criticism that I do agree with is that things like transversive steps don't have to have anything taken away to have their benefit. So other movement exotics for other classes get to have all of that up, whereas stompies, you have to have your dodge up to get the benefits of it. So I could see that if their whole thing is that the jumping is the problem, then maybe you still get the movement and the sliding while your dodge is down, but you can't jump as high. But taking away everything when you dodge is, I don't think that having inconsistent gameplay feels good. And that was part of the other drama of the whole switching loadouts, switching weapon thing, because it's just inconsistent, feels janky. You know, it's just makes it not feel as good.
I mean, when did we even really hear people crying out about stompies? It was like a while ago, and I haven't heard anything about it in a minute. And then now the changes come in. So unless they were like planning to do this, or they were taking the feedback, whatever, 6-9 months ago, and putting it into effect, but it just seems weird to do it now when it doesn't seem like it's been as big of an issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think part of it is, I know that Bungie, they don't specifically make changes just off of usage rates, but usage rate is a very important, data point. And so the thing is, stompies have consistently for years been like the premier #1 king of the crop go-to exotic for hunters. So I wonder if maybe it's just like, okay, well, we're kind of to the point now where we look at the usage rate, especially in things like trials and comp, and it's like, okay, well, it's just everybody is doing this more than everything else. So maybe we just need to take care of the outlier and
tap the nail
back down so it's in line with everything else.
Wouldn't heat rises be like just as oppressive, that they're always in the air? Or it's this is the thing, right? Is that when changes happen, if you're upset with a change, it's like, okay, well, they could change it back if we're upset with it. But if you don't agree with the reasoning, then it becomes a much bigger issue. And with some of the things that Bungie has done recently with changes, it seems like they don't really want to have a skill gap in PvP or PvE. Everything that kind of emerges as a thing that maybe not everyone can do or not everyone can deal with, they're like, nope, we want it to be level playing for PvE and PvP. And we saw that kind of both this week.
Yeah.
I think overall, like I'm no longer playing Hunter, and I'm glad I switched. So yeehaw. But I think it's more about the direction that it's going in and the overall aspect of mobility in Destiny, and when you put it into the context of how you had aerial effectiveness added, so you have to build into it to jump in there and actually hit your shots, and then you have things like this that maybe tank your movement if you use an ability, and then eventually, was it last week, the week before, Titans aren't going to be able to infinitely use their shield bashes and shoulder charges to move around the map, which is probably fair as well, but it's still going in a direction of like having less movement tech, and I would probably say that people feel like that's the wrong direction, right? Like in general, is I think people want to move faster and have that fantasy in PvP, and it feels like it's sort of going in the direction of being toned down a lot more, unless you really specifically build into it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's not just with movement stuff too. It's also like there's a lot of exotics on this list that all have these other kinds of damage buffs on different kinds of scalars and have stacks. And they just eliminated all of that and brought them all down to this baseline of a 6% damage buff in PvP. So if you were the odd man out, you're a Sunbreaker main, which is like a unicorn these days because Sunbreakers receive so many nerfs that the usage rate on those is really, really bad right now. Well, Bungie nerfed the Path of the Burning Steps. So if you really like using your solar weapons to get these stacking damage buffs, I think the base stack on the Path of the Burning Steps gives you 15% damage buff for your solar weapon, which is really cool. So you can build craft into that. Maybe you use a solar weapon that also has Rampage or a kill clip or something like that. And so you can start stacking these. You're doing the math. You make a whole build around it. And that's really cool. But then now they brought it down to this 6%, just a blanket. Nope, it's just 6% now. So it eliminates all the mods you were running and the surges you were running and the gun and all the synergy that you put all the effort into creating this cool build. And it's like nobody's using that exotic. Nobody's using that subclass for the most part. Why? I don't understand why. And the same thing with Mantle of Battle Harmony. You have to sacrifice your exotic slot and actually your super. Like you can't use your super if you want to reap the benefits of that damage buff on Mantle of Battle Harmony. And it's a 15% damage buff in PvP after you get a final blow with, a weapon matching your subclass. They brought it down to 6%. So it's like a 60% nerf. And again, it's just like, why? Like they're bringing all this stuff down to a baseline and they're ignoring all of the cost investment to run those things. It just doesn't seem like nobody's going to run them now. I don't think.
Yeah, it seems like they're.
I saw a comment in chat from Suntory saying, I can't agree. We got amplified in Strand. And I think that's a good point. Like, Strand definitely feels like the movement class now across, maybe with the exception of Warlocks, but for Hunters and Titans, it's definitely, I can't take off Strand PvP because I just love the ability to zoom around the map with it. And I think if Bungie gave that as the reasoning for, like, some of the changes, like, hey, like, we're toning down some of the light subclasses because they've got a fair bit of movement tech around there, and we want you to build into subclasses that are meant to be for movement, like Titans, you're on Strand now, or you're amplified with Arc, like that's how you need to zoom around. Then I would say fair, but the reason we got was it's hard to look with a controller, and there are other moves that put you in the air, so it's just
it feels inconsistent, right? It just feels a bit inconsistent with other things that they've done.
Chat brought up something that we talked a little bit about before the show started. TV is in that the question and what's coming next. Like, is this in response to something that's being planned? But you brought up a good point with the Sunbreaker.
Yeah. So we're talking about this a little bit before the show. So back when, like before season, I think it was before Season of the Haunted dropped. Similar thing where Bungie kind of let us know ahead of time before the new season came out, like, hey, here's some changes that are coming down the line. And they included some pretty serious changes to the Sunbreaker kit. And there were some serious net nerfs to the Sunbreaker kit. Actually, this was before the Witch Queen. This was right before Witch Queen launched, now I think about it, because it was, everyone thought, okay, well, something's coming for the Sunbreakers that's going to be really cool and incredible. That's why they got to bring these things down, because they're probably planning some of these other buffs that we just don't know about. And so people were kind of excited. They were kind of bummed about the nerfs, but figured something cool is coming. And then nothing cool did come. I mean, they got Laurel's Splendor, and then that lasted like 2 weeks before it was just hammered down to the ground, right? And so they lost, Sunspots lost, most of their potency, and the Sun Warrior buff that you could chain by running into your sunspots, and the floor was lava doing big damage to people who got stuck in them, but they nerfed all that. The damage that you don't do extra damage in the sunspots anymore, and they don't hurt as bad. So it's just a big net loss. Nothing good happened. So I'm kind of worried that this is going to be the same thing where we're like, well, just wait and see. They probably got something cool planned, but if history repeats itself, it might just be a blanket nerf.
It would be nice if they came out and kind of told us what their objective is as far as movement goes and what they want to see in Crucible. Like, what is their goal from like a gunplay to movement? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't really seen that recently. They were talking about, we've seen over time, like, okay, we want to get less, we want to get more into like abilities and stuff like that, or less about primary spam and things like that, but nothing really around movement. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. I don't know. All I can tell you is I've actually been having a lot of fun in Supremacy.
Supremacy's
I've been playing
great.
a lot of Supremacy.
Okay, so we can go through like some of these changes, but overall I read them, and for the most part I was like, I was either like, that's weird, or because for example, Sealed Ahamkara Grass for Hunter is getting changed. So right now what it does is it will reload your equipped weapon when you hit with a melee, not a kill, a hit with a melee. And it will also give you like 50 AE for like 5 seconds. Well, now it's also going to reload all of your weapons when you defeat a target with a powered melee. And then for 5 seconds after dealing melee damage, you gain increased movement speed and jump height. And I'm like, that sounds cool, but 5 seconds is so short. It is the tiniest amount of time. And I really feel like you could have given all of this to just melee hit and not kill. I think it would have been totally balanced. I don't think it would have been a problem. And I think having it last for longer would make sense. But yeah, I was like, Dragon Shadow does this, but lasts for 9 seconds instead of 5, and you just have to dodge. So I'm like, I think someone brought up that, maybe this will be a good choice for people who run like Suspend, for example, because you don't get the benefits of any dodge exotics if you're using Suspend.
Oh, sure.
But man, 5 seconds is so short.
Yeah.
That's real
Just
short.
enough time to escape, and that's about it. You're like in the
Yeah.
middle of a firefight.
Yeah, I have enough time to do like a jump with my increased height. I can jump once. It's pretty cool.
Look at me go. Okay, that was fun.
Look at me. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the change has just solidified why I moved over to Titan. We're sitting pretty. We lost Junies, but who cares? Whatever.
Oh, you want to talk about Titans?
Dude, no backup plans?
We're good. We're fine.
No backup plans?
That's kind of nuts.
Spongy. Someone jumping is not nearly as oppressive as permanent healing, permanent overshields. Like you're gonna put down a shield, get an overshield. You're gonna be able to keep it up, and then if for some reason you can't keep it, you're gonna be able to put down another shield and get an overshield.
Yep.
I hate it.
And
thanks, I hate it. Yeah.
And after you get a shotgun kill, you get, like you said, the health and the overshield, and your shotgun's going to do more damage. You get a damage buff to your shotgun when the overshield is active, and you get extra reload speed, and you get extra airborne effectiveness on it. It's like,
it's airborne effectiveness.
What do you have to sacrifice for that,
DCP? Players,
what is it?
I'm coming for you from the air.
Nothing.
What could possibly be the
What is the take? There is no take.
There's no take. You just got to use a shotgun. That's it.
Give.
I like, come on. Like, you're telling me that people who play Destiny have more problems with someone jumping than someone running around with an overshield and increased damage on their shotgun and healing? And I doubt it. I don't think so. I don't think that's true. I don't think so. So it's like you have to sacrifice using Synthos, not using Synthos. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty good. We're pretty good, to be honest.
Maybe ammo economy would prevent that from happening too much, but still.
Honestly, if you play Supremacy, it's literally just shotguns everywhere because of the game mode, which is fun. So this is just gonna dominate game modes like Supremacy.
Yeah.
Huge.
I don't know if Supremacy is even going to be around. I kind of doubt it when this buff happens.
Just gonna walk out the door through game mode. It's like, no, I don't want to do it.
Well, I think it's just a Guardian Games thing. I mean, as far as I know, they haven't told us Supremacy is going to be back in any capacity after that.
Well, I think they're going to see some good data from it, so I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce it, but hopefully they do.
Like, it's back with skill-based matchmaking. Oh, no one's playing it. Okay.
Don't speak that into existence.
Yeah.
Well, this brings me back to the other thing of like, if we're going so hard on SBMM and the whole point of like nerfing stompies and adding AE was because lower skilled players couldn't deal with all of the aerial stuff, but now you're still keeping SBMM, but you're also taking stompies. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm confused. Maybe they're walking back skill-based
Yeah.
matchmaking. That's what this means. Then it's acceptable.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because if the reasoning for changing stuff is like it's too hard to target players that are using movement tech, well then shouldn't that be solved with the skill-based matchmaking? Like they should be playing players who
Can handle that.
not as mobile and as skilled as moving around the map. You know, that's like the changes you go through when you play a PvP game is exactly that. You know, you're not very good at the game. You learn how to get better at the game. You learn the mechanics better. You learn the maps better. You learn the movement better. Then, you know, you get better at the PvP game. Oh, well. Anyway, times are fine. Suck it.
I mean, so out of all of this for hunters, like we don't need to go through absolutely everything, but Radiant Dance Machines could be interesting with the new hunter aspect for Strand. Because it says kills while your free dodge is active extend the duration of free dodging, no longer deactivates when you're too far away from enemies. So I don't know, they didn't say that there was a cooldown on the new aspect, but if you can just like dodge around and make a bunch of clones, that could be funny.
Oh, true.
That'd be
True.
fun. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah. Okay.
And then
I look
Bacchus
forward
is
to Hunters
a
getting
bit of
that for an entire day before it gets nerfed.
Yeah.
There's clones all over the map.
Because you know it's gonna happen.
We disabled Radiant Dance Machines due to unintended interaction
Day
between
one.
Telesto.
The 60 clones on this PvP map were slowing down everybody's frame rate.
Oh no.
Bacchus is getting a bit of a buff. I mean, especially if you use it in PvP because it didn't used to grant any bonus to weapon damage, and now you get a 6% bonus to weapon damage. So I mean, if
Didn't
you
it
like
give weapon
Bacchus,
damage in PvP?
it didn't. No,
Oh, I thought it did. Okay.
no. But you know what the penalty is for using Bacchus?
Can't dodge?
Your dodge comes back way slower for this powerful movement ability.
I actually like Mask of Backers. I think
Bacchus
it's really
is great.
fun. Yeah, I never got down with it when it first launched, and then I've only used it post nerf. I never used it pre nerf, and it's like my favorite way to play on my hunter right now. It's kind of fun.
I gotta say, TV.
I know you've said it multiple times about the stacking bonus, but I still don't get it.
That's because when you read it, you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
Worded very poorly.
It's worded very
So
poorly.
what's the deal? Can you explain it to me?
Go
like
again,
I'm a
TV.
new
Break
player?
it down.
I don't know that I want to. I feel like all I do is complain about PvP. People get tired of hearing me talk.
I do. Well, I do as well. But they said Mylan is the negative one, so I think we're okay.
True. So he's complaining about Aztec Cross.
Yeah. He's like, when are we getting back to my beef match? I need to get back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some things can stack, some things cannot. Previously, it is, I will say this, it is very confusing the way that they have worded some of this stuff. But supposedly, these damage buffs are no longer going to be able to stack with, I mean, it literally says verbatim, no longer stacks with surge, leg, armor mods, but provides a larger bonus than can be achieved with 3 such mods equipped.
Right. So you don't need to have the surge on because it's not going to stack with the surge mods.
It's not
so you
going
can
to
use something
stack
else
with
in that
them.
spot.
Yeah. It's basically taking away your ability to do the math on damage buffs and do some really fun things like reducing optimal TTKs. Like right now, for example, let me just give you a solid example here. Right now, Path of the Burning Steps. If I have an adaptive pulse rifle, it does just under enough damage to kill a Guardian in 2 bursts right now. So I have to go in for a 3rd burst. I need to get like 2 more bullets and somebody to put him down. But if I've got that 15% damage buff because of the 1 stack of that damage buff with the Burning Steps, now I can 2 burst somebody with my adaptive pulse rifle. So it's kind of this investment thing where you're like, well, I have to secure that first kill outright with a slower TTK gun. But I now earn the right for a few seconds, it's not very long, for a few seconds I can now 2 burst So I have to play really aggressive and go out there and slay. But now they're bringing it all down. Path of the Burning Steps, the maximum stacks are going to grant you 6%. That's if you're slaying with the buff and you're stacking it up to max stacks. Now it's going to do 6%. That's a huge
Honestly, I know
nerf.
your microphone's been cracking a little bit.
Oh, phooey.
It's
How
On the
bad
bright
is it?
side, most
might
of
be okay
these
now.
changes are better for PvE.
Yeah.
Most of the damage changes are boosts to
We'll
PvE
take-
damage, so
some wins for people. I like
I feel
people
bad
winning.
for y'all, but
Not that bad though. Like, I'm not gonna sleep over it.
I just, when we go through the things, I just want to, just keep in mind that Mask of Bacchus is getting the same thing where it's like damage bonus increased in PvE from 10% to 25%, 6% bonus damage to weapon damage in PvP, no longer stacks. It's the same description that you hear with all of the others. Just keep that in mind. Okay, thank you. As we go to the Titans.
With that.
Well, and the Warlocks, actually. They both have a similar thing. Are you excited about any Titan stuff, Mylan, besides the cheater exotic
Yeah.
that you're not going to use because you're a man of Strand culture?
No.
You're a cultured Strand. How can you berserk your fanny with a void overshield, Mylan? You can't.
Well, honestly, I'll be honest. I got one too many firebolt grenades, and I thought, you know what, stuff you guys. I'm putting firebolt nades on too. But as soon as I took off Strand, I really suffered from not having the grapple. I just like the grapple so much to.
I think it's
move
when you
around.
get used to Strand, because it is a subclass that takes a little bit more getting used to. Once you're used to it, it is so hard to play anything else.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's really hard.
I probably will abuse no backup plans. Maybe we'll see. Because
only when you play trials with me, Mylan.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'll put the sweat roll on. Yeah. Point contact cannon was the thunderclap. Now there's big PP damage and also lightning strikes around you. The only thing you have to sacrifice is brain cells, which is great for a Titan. So that's good. Second chance is that one with the big shield on your shoulder. You get a double shield throw, I think, and the shield now weakens. And you get a shield charge back when you stun a champion. Another great.
That's
Cool.
That does sound great.
Yep, another one.
I will say that exotic looks aesthetically very, very cool looking exotic.
Yeah.
The big shields on your shoulders. Yeah. Is the mic better, by the way?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Stronghold. I didn't even know this existed because I'm quite new to Titan still. You apparently used to get healing on blocking shots with your sword, but now it's going to give you a big damage reduction and then give you restoration after blocking. So, it's going to be the Lament build. You can close the distance. You're going to get the damage reduction when you're blocking with the sword, and then you're going to get restoration, which should restore your health as soon as you stop. So, close the gap, chop them up. External Warrior. Oh yeah, External Warrior is just gonna be like the Burning Legs, Path of the Burning Legs, but with arc, right?
Arc weapon.
So,
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Arc weapons.
Yep, arc weapons. Bing bong. Kepri's Horn, which I still haven't used with Strand yet, because apparently you one shot people if they get
suspended. Yeah.
They get suspended, and then the flame comes out from the shield as well, and then they're dead. So now you're going to get scorched on top of that. So I don't know, double dead if you use it with Strand.
Well, if you throw down a thermite grenade and then instantly put up the shield up, and you hit them with two abilities, detonation, ignition, blah blah.
That might be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Path of Burning Steps is, I'm assuming, getting the same sort of damage stacking stuff going on. So just 6% in PvP. And Doonies is getting a bit of a boop. Chain damage going down from 20 to 12, and reducing damage in PvP from 85 to 50. So
Eternal Warrior is fairly similar to Mask of Bacchus minus the movement, but you get to increase the damage duration with kills, and you get to have tier 4 when your Fist of Havoc super ends.
It's your own fault for sticking with hunters. Just come over to Titans, okay? This is literally because I was a hunter before, and this is just what happens every patch. It's your own fault for staying in that class. Just come over to Titans, and you be happier.
I can't. I hate them.
Did you say you ate them?
I should. I should. I've only been bagged by Titans in Supremacy, by the way. Only Titans. And they are the only ones only using Immortal. They're terrible, terrible people.
If Titans were food, what would they be?
Eggs that have been left in the sun for too long.
Ooh.
Stinky.
Stinky.
I think it'd just be like in Australia, their shredded wheat is just one giant brick. It would just be like they'd just be one brick of shredded wheat with no frosting on it. That's it. Tell me I'm wrong, Mylan.
No frosting.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, wheat. Yeah, that would be a wheat bix. That wouldn't be one though. There'd be like 5 wheat bix, like really dry, like just a tiny bit of milk.
No milk. You just.
That's what I imagine a
No
tumbleweed
milk,
tastes like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on with Warlocks?
Mostly buffs, couple of nerfs.
Vesper of Radius is kind of cool.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
I don't know if you know what Vesper is, Briar, but it's in my opinion, it's probably one of the aesthetically best looking exotic chess pieces in the game. It's beautiful. And it's just a shame that it's always been awful, so no one uses it. But now, anytime you put your rift down, you're gonna send out arc shockwaves all around you, and it'll pulse every 5 seconds. They'll do 70. I think it was 70. I don't have it pulled up. Correct me if I'm wrong. 70 damage, but then if you get a final blow with it, they blow up and do 100 arc damage and blind people around you.
Wow,
that's kind of. I could get down with that.
Yeah.
So, but what do they have to sacrifice?
You just cast your rift.
Self-respect.
Right. So they're allowed to use their ability. Copy that.
Yeah.
Yep. That is true.
Once it's just on the floor, and I'm just like, kicking while they're down.
I just don't understand. I just don't get it.
We kind of covered Chromatic Fire already.
We did.
TV did.
Mm-hmm.
That one's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn Chorus.
Yeah.
Dawn Chorus.
Increased bonus damage and no longer reliant on the enemy being scorched, which is fairly nice. Sanguine Alchemy. Standing in a rift grants a non-stacking bonus to weapon damage matching your subclass damage type. The damage bonus is equivalent to 2 surge leg mods, so 17% PvE and 4.5 PvP, which is weird because all the other ones are 25 and 6.
Yeah, they're all pretty consistent, and then this one is not.
It's a little odd.
It's so little. What is 4.5% really gonna get you?
It's 200 damage to kill an enemy, correct? Unless
I think it's more or less
9.
it's just gonna help with forgiveness of TTK, not change your optimal TTK. It's just gonna let you hit more body shots in order to hit it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot. Again, a very cool looking exotic. Some of the I think that Bungie's design team crushes a lot of their Warlock exotics. So Sanguine Alchemy with the blood in the canisters and stuff, it just looks so cool.
Claws of Ahamkara now powered melee creates an orb of power, and when you have the heavy-handed mods equipped, it can increase the potency of the orb. So that sounds more like a PvE type deal to me personally, eating all those orbs. But
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Mantle of Battle Harmony, to be honest.
Oh, TV knows about Mantle of Battle.
It's my main. It's my baby.
You upset?
TV's like, don't make me do it again, please. I just want to be happy. I want to be a positive.
The TLDR is that it's a buff in PvE. They're like, hey, this thing's being underused, so we're going to give it a buff in PvE. It's going to do 25% more damage on your weapon final blows instead of 20. So that's great. But we're also nerfing it in PvP from 15% down to 6. So it's basically
huge
good.
nerf.
They're basically just saying, no, we just only want you to use this in PvE. So if that's their choice, it's their choice.
How did it used to work? How did it used to work?
It used to, well, yeah, currently if you were to fire up the game, so when you, it's got two parts to the gameplay loop with the Mansell and PvP. One is you equip a weapon of your matching subclass type, so I like to run Collective Obligation on Nova Bomb, because Nova Bomb has a short cooldown. So you get kills with Void Weapon, and you get, I think it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, 1.5% extra super energy per kill. So it's not a lot. But the idea is that you get your super meter full a little bit faster. But when it's full, now the buff changes. Instead, when you get a final blow with a void weapon or whatever your subclass is, now for 3.5 seconds, you have a 15% damage buff to all void weapons. So if you're slaying, so I like to run, another way I do this is with like a brass attacks or a void sidearm. So you're like running and gunning, right? You're just like using something like Killing Wind to help out. You know, you get a kill, you reload that thing, and you just keep it going, and you keep that damage buff chaining. But it's real short, 3.5 seconds. So the trade-off now is that you don't get that 15%. They're just bringing it down to 6. So it's a huge nerf at a steep cost investment, right? You can't use your super if you want that buff. You got to hang on to it. And that's why like nobody uses it really, because the cost investment is so high. But the skill ceiling right now on it is really high too, because if you build into it and you start stacking other things like Killing Wind and Rampage and Surge mods, you can actually start reducing your overall TTK. Right now, I can do 40 damage per headshot with an adaptive pulse. So I'm pumping out 120 damage in a single burst. So it's a 2-burst kill. That's super fun to start getting that chain rolling. But that's going to go away.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, does it feel like Bungie doesn't want you to build in PvP? Like you said, these aren't going to change time to kills now. They're more just like a forgiveness. Like they're trying to sort of stabilize that. And is that, I don't know, is that what people want in PvP players, or is that not what people want?
I can't speak for other people, but for me, it's not what I want. I really like build crafting and kind of getting in, like popping the hood on something and really starting to fine tune every little part of it to get something that feels unique. You know, the whole mantra of Destiny has always been become legend. You know, play your way, create your own sort of fantasy and live it. You know, and for me, a lot of that comes down to the way that you finally tune these builds to do. You can accomplish some really cool things, and the skill ceiling is really high. So when they start to bring that ceiling back down, it kind of feels like they're trying to put you in a box again.
Yeah,
that's the unique thing about Destiny too, right?
Yeah, seems like closing the skill gap is their way of thinking that it's going to open up the game to more people for enjoyment. Because you know, when the average player goes in and gets stomped, maybe they don't have so much fun. I'm not saying I have much skin in the game. I'm just speculating.
Get him, everybody!
Yeah.
They're bounce.
I'm just curious if that's their reasoning. You know, if that's what they think is going to happen. I have no idea.
You know, that clerk at the judge's office was right.
I knew it was going to come back to haunt me.
I want you to tearfully apologize to everybody on this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, well, do we agree on a fitting aspect though? Do we agree?
I want to remove all melee lunging, period.
That's like the only exotic I run in PvP as a warlock is a fitting aspect for the, not for the melee though, for the, like the quick switch.
Now you can throw on transversives.
It's true. They still
melee lunges are tricky in this game just because of the way that the rubber banding affects how you can shoot people. I can roll over and take that one.
Would Destiny, here's a hypothetical, would Destiny community PvP be happy if it was just literally the Halo melee? You just got to be absolutely kissing face with someone to make contact with the melee. No lunging, no teleporting. Like, you're on top of them, you can punch them. Otherwise, you're just like this.
So the
swinging
Titan melee. You want everybody to have the Titan melee.
Basically, everyone have a Titan melee, yes.
Well, part of me is like, I totally appreciate the power fantasy of like Titan's Punch. That's what they do. So like having the knockout ability really leans into the Titan sort of freight train, unstoppable freight train kind of a thing that they're going for that. So like part of me would just prefer that they made the melees visually make sense. And I think that's probably way easier said than done.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like that that's a thing for Titans, right? Move, me run, me punch. and I think that's cool. So I kind of want to keep that. Let them have that power fantasy.
I think there's enough like ranged melee though to keep the fantasy there, right? Like you've got warlocks just throwing out fire and ice.
There's spellcasters.
I mean, you got your shield.
Yeah, they're spellcasters, so I think it's a little different.
Yeah,
that's part of their power fantasy.
Mm.
I
just think I agree with you, but I just what's that?
I get to be the best at being aggressive and up close, and the best at being defensive, and the fastest.
I've already given you the solution here. Just give up on hunters, mate. Come over to Giants. I don't know why. I don't want to hear your complaints anymore.
I just, I'm just asking for some logic behind the choices. But no one here works for Bungie, so I get it. I just don't understand.
But I guess the thing is with the whole melee lunge is like, the system is always going to be broken. Like there's always going to be that rubber band, and it's incredibly frustrating when you literally can't target someone because they just like do a melee.
Because they're going like boom,
rubber
boom,
bands. Boom, and you're like, okay.
I'm trying to save you, but I can't shoot him.
Yeah. Okay, so good fitting aspects. I mean, they're still going to be very good, right? They're just not going to have.
Yeah, they still have like
range.
the fast handling.
Yeah, quick draw, fast reload speeds.
Yeah.
That's mainly why I use them when I play PvP occasionally. Promethean Spur grants Rift energy for any solar weapon takedown, with more energy granted for solar weapon takedowns while standing in the Rift. But you also now have to be standing in the Rift when you get a final blow for the exotic to consume your class ability and create the Rift. So it's kind of a give and take there. I've never used those, so I don't know.
I know a cool guy really gets down with those.
Mm-hmm.
And then the big topic for Warlocks is the Starfire Protocol nerf.
That is the topic.
Which is funny because I was scouring Reddit a little bit, and they were calling it Warlock Liberation Day because Warlocks are like happy that that they don't have to. I never really used it, but they were very, very strong, and now they're not.
Yeah.
So we can use other things and not look like, I don't know, we're going into a marching band competition.
That's right.
As a marching band nerve.
Yeah. So what's happened? They're going from 20%. The amount of energy gained per instance of damage goes from 20 to 2.5.
Yeah.
So just less grenade spam. Is that the deal?
I think, wasn't it something like you used to be able to throw, you'd need like 4 grenades or something to gain a benefit, and now it's like 40 or something crazy?
It's mostly for like, boss damage, especially solo players doing that a lot to get like solo Nezarec kills and stuff like that. So it's weirdly targeting
it's like
that.
Is it targeted like that?
Super,
like the speedrunners and those guys?
You also can't switch weapons.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even say speedrunners. It's just like a very solid DPS with where rockets are at the moment. You have a rocket with demo on it. You basically just rocket, fusion nade, rocket. You probably have to reload because it's on a cooldown. Another fusion nade, and you're like just sort of putting out a whole ton of grenades and a whole ton of rockets. And it was pretty hard not to use that for DPS if you really wanted to do damage. So,
Watts, when did they talk about the switching weapons thing? Because I saw a lot of people really upset about
it. It was in a hot fix. Well, like a patch, just a random patch.
Tuesday was it? Yeah, was it the reset one?
Tuesday.
I think it was. Yeah.
What was it specifically? Like if you switch weapons with like Tim or something. Like if you switch weapons,
if you switch weapons, period.
But not
in the game too.
Not between your 2 equipped weapons though. Just like from your inventory. Then it can't be fired for is it 2 seconds?
2 seconds, and that also includes golden gun. You cannot shoot golden gun for 2 seconds because it's coded as a hand cannon. And it's also if you switch weapons, you can't shoot with any of your weapons. So it's not even like, I'm going to change my special because I want to actually use a shotgun now. You won't be able to shoot with your hand cannon.
So this is specifically to combat like loadout switching really fast.
Again, targeting like solo players mostly. I feel like.
Didn't they confirm that basically some weapons were taking on the previous abilities of something you had on before, right? So you could like have something on, change loadouts, and for whatever reason that gun would be broken. I think Fourth Horseman was the example.
Fourth Horseman, if you had a slug shotgun and then you like switch to Fourth Horseman, TLDR is that Fourth Horseman would be doing slug shotgun damage, which is a lot of damage.
How come I never find out about this stuff until they nerf it? Like they fix it. I'm like, oh, I could have been doing that the whole time.
It's because you're too busy playing Street Fighter, mate. You got to watch all the Reddit and the bloody YouTube videos.
It's true. I am playing a lot of Street Fighter.
You're not on Twitter much.
I saw that Hamwise in chat said this affects almost no one, and it's like, yeah, but it does affect a part of the community that I think should be a little bit cared for and a little bit respected, right? Because it does seem like there's a lot of things that happen to knock speedrunners down, to knock low man challenges down.
It seems like the only thing Bungie interacts with that community is to find out how to fix the game. I say in air quotes, right? It's like, oh, they're doing what now? Okay, we'll fix that.
Yeah, it's like I kind of see both. I see both sides of it. Like on one side, as a developer, when people are breaking the rules of your game, and it's not that it's their fault they're doing it maliciously, but the game is reading things incorrectly. Whether it's malicious or not, it is an exploit. It's not a feature, right? It's a bug, not a feature. And you wanna make sure that the game itself is playing by the rules that you set for it. I understand that, but also at the same time, it's like the kinds of people that this is going to directly affect are the kinds of people, it's like they don't need to do this in order to be good at the game.
No.
They're going to be clearing their raid bosses anyway, right? These people walk all over Nezarec. If they're out here doing that kind of tech to low man challenge it, it's like, whatever. At that point, it's not like you're defending the integrity of the game. They're gonna beat it no matter what. So I don't know.
I think it was gone.
No, go ahead.
I think people have an issue with the approach to fixing something, and I think a lot of people can understand the practicality that like game dev is hard and shit's hard, and like this obviously is probably going to be a real complex bug to solve, and so this was the like best solution, but it also feels like a portion of the community gets punished with a band-aid solution, something that's not sort of directly targeting the bug. It's sort of a solution to stop let the bug time out rather than prevent it. That's why they're saying it's a band-aid. It's not getting rid of the bug, because Fourth Horseman shouldn't have the properties of the gun that was previously equipped. So and then people would argue, well, you should solve that bug. And obviously that's probably going to be a very complex bug. So the next best option is to time you out. So
that's a good point.
And that seems to get rid of, it having those properties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I can see why people are upset with that solution, because it's not directly fixing the bug. But I also understand the practicality of this stuff's probably tangled in a million things.
Right.
And they've got a new dungeon coming out, and they've got new content coming out, and they don't want people to post clips of you destroying the new dungeon boss.
Right.
With 3 Fourth Horsemen. Okay.
Have they said that they're going to revert this at all at any point, or is this like a permanent thing?
They're going to bring it down to 1 second.
Okay.
So,
which will be
hopefully
almost
even less
noticeable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd probably be less noticeable. Yeah. It is weird though to have that experience that we've built, since Destiny 1 really. Well, maybe not so much on console, but since PC was a thing, being able to switch stuff quickly and immediately go back to firing, and that changing for one little thing feels odd to me.
Yeah. And I think it's what people say with we just are generally not crazy about any changes that make the game not feel as good, because I think a lot of the reason why people still stick around playing Destiny is because it feels so good. So anything that kind of makes it feel clunky or inconsistent or whatever, people generally tend to not be happy about.
Right.
I think we're all entitled. Go back to playing Destiny 1 and take millennia to open up your inventory to pop a heavy synth, okay?
On your PlayStation
back
4
and complain
amateur.
about 2 seconds.
At least I had heavy synth, Mylan.
Yeah, good point.
Well, if you'd
Shoot
played
No
Titan,
Land
you could have
Beyond
just
over
used
and
the.
over again to try and get heavy back.
Was it Ruin Wings? Was that what those were called? Those gauntlets for the
Yeah.
Titan? Yeah.
Yep, I remember that.
Anything in the TWAB we want to go over?
Yeah. We got to
Dude.
look at more of the armor. Another look at
Is
the
the
armor.
Season of the Deep aesthetic like not S tier or
Gets
what?
me
Oh, it is S
excited,
tier.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a teaser about Season of the Deep where Sloane was basically putting out a call for Guardians to come and, I don't know, do something. Mine, what's the lore on Sloane
Yep.
calling us?
Well, I did make a video on Sloane being partially taken. Because a lot of people have, I think Season of Deep has caught people's attention again. People are coming back and going, yo, I'm going to jump in Season Deep. Why is Sloane back? Why is she back? I'm confused. So I went over a bit of a recap, like you haven't missed anything about Titan returning and Sloane returning. This is all brand new and we don't exactly know yet, but we do have some surrounding lore that can help understand the situation. You know, the witness came and the planets got removed when Bungie sunset Titan, Io, Mercury, and Mars. And those planet vendors got like their final hurrah, like a lore story. Brother Vance went into Infinite Forest. I gouged the doppelganger, which was, we assume, the witness now. Ashimir went into the Vex network and returned this season, right, in Vexcalibur, the exotic mission. And so this looks like Titan, Sloane, who was the vendor on the moon Titan of Saturn, is going to get a bit of a comeback story, probably even bigger than Ashimir. Ashimir was almost like a Easter egg, really, whereas this sort of seems like a whole
main story
season focused on Titan, returning the area and Sloane. And so my only real theory on why Sloane has the sort of taken arm and taken legs, taken booty, is the witness was the original taken master. That's where Oryx learned the powers to take from. And those planets went into their possession. So when someone gets taken, we have like old school lore from Taken King 2015, where it talks about them being transported to like another realm, and then they're like subverted to the will of the leader of the Taken, and then when they break, they return as the Taken, right?
Yeah.
So the cool thing about Sloane is it'd be very on brand as a Titan. Like the planet gets taken by the witness, Sloane resists. You know, she's been resisting. The Titan will is so strong that she's sort of remained
Unbroken.
in control.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, exactly. For whatever reason of Titan being brought back, she's only partially affected by it. Which, I mean, that sounds pretty on brand for a Titan. Like,
yeah, that's pretty bad.
just resisted.
Yeah.
Just resisted. It's all in me mind. One brain cell couldn't take over. Easy to defend one brain cell. Yeah. Solid walls.
We got to see a screenshot where they said we're going under the sea. Here's a glimpse of one of the places you'll be headed, and it's like this underwater image that definitely I think says we're not going to be swimming, because clearly that's a path that we're going to walk on.
Yeah.
So my theory is that Sloane's going to be like, managed to salvage one thing from my mech suit, and it was the ability to go underwater.
It was lead boots.
Yeah. But man, it does. I hate video game water, but Season of the Deep just aesthetically looks really cool. I love that Titan's returning. I think a lot of people love Titan and the way that it looks, and we always had that mystery about the big boy in the soup. And we get to see even a little snip of it kind of swimming in the very short teaser.
That's cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So do you think this image,
have some cool
image that shows kind of coral and like a path leading to like a submerged building, do you think we're going to be like walking underwater?
I think so.
I think
maybe we'll be like slightly slowed, or there'll be some sort of a movement tech to make it feel a little more alien, a little more foreign, like you're in liquid. But for the most
maybe
part,
like low grav.
I mean, we walk the same on the moon as we do on Earth.
Though maybe it really is the mech boots that just make you walk perfectly on the floor of the ocean.
Like, cause that's gonna be really.
I'm imagining it's gonna be like Halo when they had like areas out in space, you know, and you just had like a short section where, you know, all the sounds were muffled and you just had like you jump a little bit higher.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
I'll be interested
Remember when
to
Halo used
see.
to be a good game? Those were the days.
I wonder how they'll sort of create that ambiance too. I think of other times that we've experienced a different sort of an atmosphere as a player in Destiny. I think of the DSC raid, Deepstone Crypt, when you finally make it out into space and the Deepstone lullabies playing, and they bring the audio comes in real tight, because you're out there in the vacuum, and that music comes in. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me being a bit of a nerd, but I'd be interested to see how they kind of help create that underwater vibe and that ambiance between not just how you move, but also the audio.
I know it'll never happen, but it'd be dope to like have at least one part of a mission where you can fire and stuff underwater and actually have it, interact with the water and maybe travel a little slower and bigger kind of fun explosions that travel slow. I don't know.
What if
Probably
you're
not going to
underwater,
happen.
You pop
That's a lot
Sunbreaker
to
and you just
code.
get extinguished.
Well, no, or it's like a methane ocean. You like pop Sunbreaker, just blow up the whole thing, blows up.
Oh, jeez.
They showed off this new
Heads.
scout rifle too. This what is it called?
Yeah, they did.
The Last Right.
The Last Right, and it's a Tex Mechanica kinetic aggressive scout rifle.
Yeah, and they show off some ornaments for it, which look awesome.
It's gonna be a hip fire. There's no optic on that. That's iron sights.
Yeah, this thing looks cool as hell.
Same as a dungeon one, right? Same as a dungeon.
Yeah.
Dungeon, the long, same as
The
long
long
arm, but
arm.
like kinetic slot.
Maybe this is supposed to be like a mini No Land Beyond, but not a sniper.
That'd be cool. You know what pisses me off?
What, bro?
Gambit stuff looks so cool.
It does.
But
It
Gambit
does
sucks
look
so
good.
hard.
Well. Hey, we all the Gambit people are like, every time they see what's happening with Crucible, they're like,
both
maybe
the
we don't
Gambiteers
need
gonna
any
get mad
attention.
in the comments.
No, they're like, we don't need Bungie to pay attention to us, and you're right. You don't want it. Don't want it. No.
Yeah, right.
Like John Cena Gambit. Don't see me.
The armor looks great. I love the look of the armor.
Yeah, that does look really cool. I wonder if it's gonna be like flowy. Like
Yeah,
if
well,
it'll just
that
kinda,
picture, it looks like it's floating in water. So
I wonder if it'll just kind of like always be like kind of flowy though.
oh, it's
I
just
hope
like
so.
You come out of the
just
water, just like
standing there.
flops down.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is
Just look wet all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this sort of gives the impression that in the underwater section, your armor will interact with
yeah.
the water.
Yeah, it does give that impression.
So what happens if you're just wearing like a normal cape?
That's what I'm wondering.
Does it-
Like, if
does it-
it'll
does it
continue to
also
be
float?
like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm very curious. I think that's why people are excited, because it is very different to
Yeah.
what we normally experience going under the water. So
and all three of them
Okay.
look cool. Usually the Warlock looks
Yeah.
bad, but even the Warlock looks good this time.
Yeah.
You like
The real-
clams,
the
bro?
we got a
real-
whole
real-
flowy dress.
You got clam face?
I do like clams.
Specifically on your face, yeah.
And then
The
we got
cynical
to
part
hear
of
about
me
the...
just
Yep.
the cynical part of me just looks at this and goes, cool. When everything's broken, Bungie's going to go, yeah, well, we did add an underwater section with flowy capes, okay? So back off. I'm like,
It took a long time to develop that. We had to take
Take
sacrifices.
what we can
yeah,
get.
it's always
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Will I have to buy it in the Eververse store?
This is the season
Mhm.
pass armor.
Okay, cool.
Season pass ornaments, I should say.
1,200.
So you have to play the
silver.
game.
Oh,
Yeah,
lame.
you have to get to like 100, pretty much. Get all them ornaments.
Can't you still buy like ranks?
You
on
can
the
buy
pass?
tiers. Yeah, you can just buy 100 tiers, Briar,
can?
if you want to. Yeah.
Wow.
you
I don't
can.
think it's cheap, but yeah, you can.
Hey, the dungeon. The dungeon's coming.
Dungeon.
Yeah.
May 26th, which is the Friday after the season launch.
So
10 a.m. Pacific.
like 2 weeks
I
from
hope this
tomorrow,
knocks out the park because I really do.
Underwater.
Because the last dungeons have been, I don't know, I feel like they've been okay.
They've been okay.
They definitely,
yeah.
They've definitely been a drop down from when they first started doing dungeons, and it sort of feels like they're probably the new standard. And then on the back of Ron, it'd be nice to have like a big win with a obviously like a lot of potential to be an aesthetically pleasing dungeon, especially compared to something like Duality, which is just all red.
Yeah, I agree.
Nightmare Realm, all red. Like, you know, I would love for something to be on the level as Prophecy, you know, aesthetics wise, and then something also a little bit more than one mechanic throughout the whole dungeon too would be like nice. So,
what's your favorite
dungeons
dungeon?
Are my favorite part of the content. Yeah, it's probably Prophecy.
Yeah,
Prophecy.
I'm a Pit guy.
Pit's great. I love the vibe of Pit.
Pit of Heresy's nice. Pit of Heresy's nice.
And you
It
have
actually
the
just
whole...
has the grand scale.
Yeah, like when you first go down there, it's just like a whole like fortress cityscape built on the side of a cliff wall. It's just mega cool.
And there's an exotic mission in there, which is incredible.
What?
The exotic mission that was in there.
Yeah, yeah.
I really liked that whole encounter, and that was built just for that exotic mission.
And the mechanic of Prophecy is very different from any other mechanic we've ever seen in Destiny, and still is. Like the whole stand-in light versus shadow is such a It's so simple, but also like if you go in there for the first time, it's hard to spot like that as a mechanic as well, and it's because Destiny doesn't really do that anywhere else. So Prophecy is my favorite. Oh, Grasp of Avarice though is also very good. That's probably up there.
It is good,
mainly because of the Sparrow segment, pretty much.
The friggin' second to last encounter kills that dungeon for me.
Yeah.
The one where you have to launch the servitors.
Oh,
it takes so friggin' long.
It does take a long time.
Yeah, it is carried heavily by the Sparrow section, but it's hard not to smile on that Sparrow section. So yeah, I'm looking for the Dungeon. It'd be a great time.
Are you gonna play it right at reset, Milo?
Launch race?
Well, I'm gonna have to ask for permission
ask
off
for
Dad
permission
duties,
and you let me know.
That'll be Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Might have a Leo with us.
That's fine. He can be the third.
He could be your ghost.
Yeah, my controller.
Is he keyboard and mouse?
I shit you not. He's controller main. Right.
And he look up, Milo.
We have a Netflix. He definitely can't look up. we have like Netflix running off what's it called? A little box, whatever. The PlayStation controller is connected to the box as a controller because all the other bloody controllers ran out of battery. So the PlayStation controller controls like Netflix, right? If you put all the controls on the table, he knows which one controls the TV, and he goes up to like walks along the table and picks up the PlayStation controller, and he knows that X does something.
How old is he? He's not even a year old yet, right?
He's not even a year, and he'll press X and then look, and he like start clicking on stuff.
That's amazing.
Love it.
Yeah. So he'd be a controller main, I think.
Twitter questions?
I think.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Hugo Rune 79 says, from last week, if you had to choose between being able to read people's minds, but only when you are naked, or being able to talk to animals, but only talk about the weather, which would you go for?
I'll probably talk to animals.
I do not need to hear what people are thinking.
I don't need to hear what animals think about the weather, though.
Well, maybe she could tell me that she's a little hot and be like, oh, so I should probably turn on the AC. Got it. I'm on the case. I'm a little cold. Okay, I'll turn the fire on. Wake up.
So I've been wrestling with something lately. I think you all have ruined me because you guys are all exceptional at telling stories, right? It's like when I listen to you guys speak, you'll have like an arc to a story, and sometimes even like a punchline to make it funny at the end. Mm-hmm. But most people don't tell stories like that. They just relate shit that happened to them with no particular point to the conversation. And I'm guessing animals are even fucking worse. This is just gonna be a boring ass conversation all the time. It's just one more person who talks to me. It just bores the shit out of me. At least
I would
you
be
eating?
super
It-
happy.
At
though.
least if I
you
could
eating over
read
there?
people's minds, but only when I'm naked, I could just put my clothes on. I don't have to hear anything, right?
He's a never
you,
nude
you
now.
hop in the shower and you just
Okay.
hear like, man, I hate Briar. He sucks. He's such an asshole. God damn.
No, but here's
Oh,
the
this
thing, right?
torment
The whole
again.
thing with you don't need to read someone's mind when you're naked, because I'll tell you what they're thinking. Why is this dude naked in front of me?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't need to. Yeah, I don't
I
need
need to know how my friends feel about me. Take clothes off. And then all you hear is, oh, why?
Oh,
Okay.
well, they're naked
Yeah,
now.
all you hear is, oh,
Okay.
I thought it'd be bigger. I mean,
Oh,
I don't need
there
to
it
hear
goes
that.
How does my boyfriend feel about me? Invite me over. I will tell you. I'll let you know.
Oh, he ain't thinking about you right now. I can tell you that. Sorry, honey.
So what do you think? Well,
I think the
was
response would be
naked.
different.
You
for
should
Watts
leave him
than it would be for Mylin or myself. Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. He was just thinking about me naked. You gotta get a new boyfriend.
kind of messed up. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
try the next one.
The Mohican 9 says, how would a kangaroo give you a ride? You know, funny you ask. We actually had
We have an expert.
yeah.
Yeah, if you're small enough, you go on the pouch. If you're large enough, you put the saddle on.
Do you think he could carry
like
you? Like,
No, don't their arms go down?
He just pantomimes.
yeah, you know.
You
No,
know?
I don't think they can carry you.
You don't think so? I mean, they got those strong biceps.
Yeah, but I think they're facing the wrong way. I think they're facing like this.
Well, they can kind of
Like,
like, you know,
hurl
just
you over
cradle
like a
you.
T-Rex.
Oh, go down?
Briar's just
Yeah.
trying to get swept off.
Yeah, I
his
think
feet
they're
by
like
a
T-Rex
muscly-
arms.
Muscly
some of that
Roo.
roo.
Yeah, they're like smaller.
Oh man.
I think you could like sled behind them, but just maybe like every time it jumps, you go whoop.
Oh,
Whoop.
like kind of
That wouldn't be a
like a
smooth
chariot,
experience.
a chariot, and it's like hopping in front of you, and the chariot is just bouncing, down the road.
lurching.
It's just lurching forward.
More research has to be done on the kangaroo rides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Murray says, has AE increased or decreased your enjoyment of the game? Thoughts on the Stompy changes requiring a dodge? I feel that introducing AE was unnecessary, and Stompy's requiring your dodge to be up is counterintuitive. This slows down the pace of the game and reduces consistency.
Drew.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
we've already talked about this pretty much.
We
You
did.
likely know our thoughts by the time you get to this part of the podcast.
Yusuf Ahmad says, starting D2 on console but moved to PC. Now I can't play D2 or any other shooter with a controller properly. Do you have any tips to make it easier to go back and forth between mouse and keyboard and controller? I think
You just gotta use a controller the entire time.
Yeah,
Just a full send.
Yeah.
the same fucking thing happened to me, and now like I can't play any shooters with a mouse. Like it's all PC for me. I'm sorry, with a controller. It's all PC for shooters for me. Same thing happened to me, and
I love using a mouse, but I'm not very good at it. But now I'm just at the point where I can't use a controller or a mouse. So welcome.
I mean, the in between would be like a controller with paddles, right? Because then you can at least like jump and aim and stuff at the same time, which is one of the issues you have with a normal controller. So
to me, it's just about aiming. It's just about the precision of aiming with a mouse. Sure. It's so precise. And when I go with a controller, I feel like I'm like fumbling around.
Yeah.
Fumbling.
Johnny No Thumbs over here.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And that's
I
after,
do
like,
both.
4 or 5 years of playing Destiny on a controller for thousands of hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Completely lost it.
I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the developer needs to be really tuned in to get a controller feeling good for an FPS, whereas I feel like there's probably a little bit more leniency with a mouse and keyboard.
That's
I think
true.
you've got to do quite a bit
Yeah.
of work because it's just less precise. So you have to do things to help out the aim,
To
and
make it
you really
good.
feel it if you go to a game that doesn't have like good control support. It's like
Yeah,
it's,
you're like, oh god.
unplayable, right?
Even
Yeah.
with Halo, Bungie's always had the secret sauce to make it a controller feel good in a
Yeah.
first-person shooter that a lot of other
Yeah.
first-person shooters don't have.
We
Yeah.
found out that like with Halo, the controller aim assist was just broken completely, and they didn't know how to fix it. And it's like never gotten better.
Oh shit. Hazarab. Yesterday there was an Australian food truck at my workplace, and all the burgers and sandwiches had beets on them. Marlon, is that a thing down there? Beets on burgers?
Yeah, like beetroot. Yeah. It's not like super common, but definitely you get beetroot in a hamburger. Yeah.
Huh.
You don't put beetroot in a hamburger?
No,
Beets?
No.
Really?
I would take it as
Onions?
an insult, frankly, if somebody put a beet on my burger.
I'd be pissed.
You're just gonna put
Really?
this rooted vegetable on my
I like
burger, on my food,
I
and
like
expect me to
beets.
eat it?
Quite sweet. They're sweet.
Yeah, they are sweet.
I'm not a
Beets.
huge beet fan. I love vegetables, but don't care for beet.
No
Yeah.
beets.
Joe Little
I don't know
Dick
if I can bear this
says,
podcast. I mean, I didn't have a horse in the
What a
race, but
tough
I'm
one
sort
for
of
you today,
offended.
huh?
The thing that did it.
Joe Little Dick says, what do you guys want to see in the season of the Deep Dungeon?
Mm. Spooky
I would like to
water.
see varying landscapes between encounters, or at
That's
least
true.
a beautiful color palette and cinematic experience, and then multiple mechanics.
That's true.
Just-
Yeah, I would like it to be a journey through something, not just staying in one place the whole time. Like feel like you're, and I think that's what Pit does really well. Is it feels like you're going through a journey of this kind of massive castle thing. I want a journey. I want it to feel like a journey. I want it to be visually different when I go to different encounters. And I want armor to look cool.
I love when they take inspiration from IRL things or other fantasy elements, like the whole ogre maze being basically like being lost in a labyrinth with a minotaur
Yeah.
and trying to work your way through it,
True.
and while avoiding the big monster that you literally cannot kill
Yeah.
and will murder you on sight. Like that's cool. Like being in a minotaur maze, that's kind of a cool thing to do. Yeah, I love when they do stuff like that.
And I know it feels like it's been used before, but I feel like dungeons kind of need a sparrow section. I feel like you
Yeah, I
kind of
like
need
that
an
too.
epic sparrow section. You know,
What was the
I think
raid
it's
that
part
had
of
the cool Sparrow
experience.
section where everybody had to like race out of it and it was all messed up?
Scourge.
Oh, yeah, talking about Scourge of the Past.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
part too.
I can tell you what I
Intro to
don't
Deep
want.
Stone Crypt has sparrow too.
I can tell you what I don't want in the dungeon. Giant sea creatures chasing after me.
Gonna have to
Not a
hard
big fan of
disagree.
open
That-
water
Got
stuff.
that thalassophobia? Is that what it's
Not
called?
not as bad as like apparently Bife has, but like it. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like.
Wait,
deep,
is
dark
Bife scared of
ocean.
underwater stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good knowledge.
Hell
from
yeah!
Island.
This is my time to become number one Lord Cattle. Hell yeah! Season of the deep, season of Myland.
Oh, jeez.
It's like I couldn't play this part. You're like, I got this.
Oh yes, yes.
Samuel Brownlee says, "Long-time listener, first-time Twitter question asker. With the genius of the pen license, what other day-to-day activity do you think would be improved for the world if people showed their proficiency and obtained a license for it?" I don't know. TV and Jay might not know about the pen license.
Parenting.
In Australia,
Oh, do we need some pen license lore?
yeah.
No, I'm
Violet,
lost on
explain the
this.
pen license for our new host.
Really? Okay, so when you're in primary school,
Really?
to
You don't know about this
graduate.
obscure Australian custom.
Beats
Let
and
me
pens.
tell you about this.
Goddamn.
A highly specific Australian thing. When you're in primary school, right, you start off using a pencil because you can use an eraser and you make mistakes. And then there's a very big deal when you're allowed to use a pen. But we're not that irresponsible. You just can't start using a pen. You have to get a literal pen license. So
No
when your
shot.
writing is good enough, you will get a pen license and be allowed to use a pen at school.
There's some irony here. Literally today, my son was doing some of his math homework. He's in first grade, and we couldn't find his pencil. And he reaches for a pen and he's like, I know how to do this. I'm like, wait a minute. No. Let me go find
This
a
is why
pencil.
there's
Where's
a
your
license
license?
for it.
Glad to see your license, sir.
He gets real
You don't even
upset.
have your
Slow
learner's
down,
permit
big
yet.
I was like,
Not so fast.
No son of mine.
illegal use of pens.
Yep.
So the
Mine never
question
got
is-
his.
People
so.
think I'm lying. I'm not lying.
no,
You
we
They
get a
looked
do.
it
They
up.
think it's a
certificate.
joke.
Yeah, we've looked it
Yeah,
up.
that's
Fact
nice.
You get a
checking
little
you, bro.
certificate.
My wife talks about this
And-
all the time. Like all the time, she's talking about the pen license. She respects
And
it.
like sometimes you'll get you get adults, like tradespeople or whatever at your house, or someone that has to write something down, and you can make the joke, "Oh, you never got your pen license," and be like, "Oh, yeah, I never did. That's my writing's so bad."
How often do they hear that? And they're just like, ha
A
ha,
lot.
so funny, Mylan. Thank you. Hilarious.
Okay, so back to the question: what
An
other
amputee
activities?
with the one arm, and you're poking fun at his handwriting.
Ouch. What other activities do you think you should get a license for? What other like everyday activities?
Mm.
I was gonna say driving.
Parenting?
But that's a thing.
Yeah,
that's
Parenting
already a
license is pretty good.
I would,
Honestly.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a
probably pretty
little.
good.
That gets a little weird. Like saying the government saying that you can or cannot have kids.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think is
Yeah.
questionable.
But maybe just like
When
take
pe-
a
when-
course and it says that, hey, you passed the parenting course, you know how to give like first aid to
Yeah,
a
okay.
baby.
Also, we
Yeah.
only give out passing grades to white people now.
Well, you're not
it's pretty
banned
easy to
from
make that
having
go
kids.
Very crazy.
You have a license saying that you passed a class to be really good at
yeah.
kid stuff.
Yeah, I think you're thinking on the conspiratorial like government oversight. I'm just talking like I would have liked to got a license where someone sits you down and said, "Listen, right, shit's gonna get crazy when you have a kid. You're not gonna get any sleep. Okay, so the first aid the license, you're gonna stay up 24 hours, and then we're gonna ask you some math questions." Or like, we're gonna here's coffee. Here's milk. After no sleep, which one does baby have? You're like, milk? Like, yes. Exactly.
I will agree with chat. Posting on
Exactly.
social media should definitely require a license. But at the
Yeah.
same time,
Ooh.
for real, like a real one, probably like finance or cooking or something like that for young adults getting into like getting a credit card or taking out a loan or
filing
doing
your
your
taxes.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
amazing if they taught useful things in school, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't that be incredible? Man,
Like,
what a
what a
world we
They're
live in.
revolutionary
leaving and being
thought.
like, how do you get insurance? I don't know. How do you go see a doctor? I have no idea. I don't even know how to fill out the form. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing.
But ask me what hydrogen does under pressure.
That'll be
Yeah.
useful.
As a parent who drops kids off at school, I think people should have a license specifically that says they know how to operate a vehicle in a parking lot. Because
Can't we just make? Can we
I
make
start off
driver's
every
license harder
day
to get?
with swear words. I swear.
It's pretty hard in England, actually.
It should
You
be
have to
harder
go
here.
through. Yeah, because in some states you literally just have to drive around at a parking lot and they're like, "Cool, you turned left and right.
Yeah.
Here you go."
How about let's make it harder to get one, and like maybe we'll lean on public transportation a little bit, which will be good for the environment, good for everybody, and maybe you got to get another test like every 5 years to make sure that you can still drive. Because like just because you pass a test when you're 16 doesn't mean you can still do it when you're 80.
I can tell you, people do not know how to use roundabouts.
Wait,
Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
yeah.
I just thought of a good one. A license to get served in like a service industry, like
Oh,
to have somebody serving you.
yes,
Oh.
I like
You
that.
have
It's
to-
like
you
a
have
to
politeness
know
like
how to-
license.
talk to them.
Yeah.
Mm.
How to like a license that you're not a shitbag.
License to get into politics, a license to, like. all
Oh
sorts of
yeah,
stuff.
like some kind
Let's
of like
license everything.
a license to get into
All of
politics
it.
would be a good one. Like they say, hey, you can take this test, or just give me $100 and I'll pass you. If you give them the $100, you fail the test. That's the only question.
Oh, that sounds like an anime plot twist. Yeah, that's a good question.
Dr. Crow, PhD, says, would you rather have a mandatory pickle with every meal? You must eat it. Or not have a drink with any meal. Must wait at least 15 minutes before having a beverage. I'm gonna go with the pickle.
I like pickles.
I love pickles.
I'll drink the pickle.
With every meal, so you're having your wheat
It's a
bix
side
in the
pickle.
morning. What? And you got a side pickle?
Pickle. I'll eat it
pickle.
after the cereal. I'll just be like, cool, pickle, nice.
I'm waiting on my drink. No pickles
Well,
for
honestly,
me.
if you order food online, you're not getting a drink anyway. So
That's
This
true.
is true.
it's not.
But
much
I have
else.
drinks at the house.
Like-
I don't live in a desert.
What if you did?
Side pickle's my new
I'm
favorite.
surprised how people are going to the side pickle.
Side pickle.
I like pickles.
I love pickles.
You'll be over pickles in a week. I can guarantee you.
You have to
Oh,
eat it.
hard
It
to
didn't say
disagree.
you have to eat
I'm
it.
gotta
not
eat it.
doing the
Yeah, you gotta
pickle.
eat it.
Yes, you have to eat
Oh,
it.
you have to eat
Yeah.
it.
Of course, you got to
I
eat
like
it.
pickles.
Is it like a full size pickle or like a spear or like
It does not.
Like the
It
one
does
you
not
like
say.
the one you get with like you order a sandwich
Yeah,
and they're
like
like,
a
you
deli.
want a
like a
side
spear.
pickle? And you're
Okay,
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
just
have,
like a quarter.
little side pickle."
I love pickles.
Side pickle.
This is great. You know what I hate? Being thirsty.
This is my son and his side pickle. Yeah.
I went to a friend's house once when I was a kid, and the parents had a rule where you were not allowed to drink anything at dinner because it made you full.
Yeah.
So you would
I had
eat less food. I hated it.
My
I'm not
best
going
friend
back to
too.
that. I'm not going
Yeah.
back. That was tormenting.
That's
How
My
is
crazy.
that-
best friend, yeah, their
How's
family did
that?
that too, and he carried that over even to like school lunches. We'd be sitting there eating lunch at school. He would drink nothing until he completed his whole dinner, and then he'd
What?
bust open his milk carton. I'm like, "You're a psychopath."
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, your parents are fucking you up.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. That wasn't a rule where I grew up, but I'm half Italian, so it was sort of a strategy to eat more food because you knew when you went to Nonna's. You went to Nonna's, it was a trap. If she offered you a soft drink, you did not take that soft drink because you know you got 2 full plates of pasta coming and you cannot fill up.
What if I'm choking on my food? I all the time will have something get stuck and I'm nearly
Yeah,
dying.
it's
I
been
need
happening
water.
to me recently too.
Happens just on air, really. Honestly. It's like an age
You ever-
thing.
You ever wake up in the morning and go to take your first drink and that like gets stuck in your throat?
Yeah.
Like you're taking too big of a gulp of water and you're like,
Yeah,
why?
like really hurts going down, like when you swallow.
Why is it not going down?
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
old age is a bit.
how long do you reckon this podcast is going to go on for? Like, can we go until we're 80 and then
Yes,
still
that
have
would
the
be
same
funny.
conversation?
Because people will grow with us and we'll be like, oh, no one told me about the side pickle when you get 80.
Once there's a license to eat properly.
And breathe properly, to be honest.
You do not
I
drink
do end up
license.
choking on air.
Sam says, do you
Oh.
think Destiny 2 PvP works better when everything is more uniform / highly balanced, or when everything is wild and unbalanced but unique? For example, instead of
Wild.
bringing one class's exotic down to bring another performing exotic up, make it very specialized at doing something.
I love
Wild Wild
that.
West.
I love
This is a
things
Destiny
being like
developer question.
hyper specialized. Like if you build into this thing, it's nuts, but you have to fully build into it, and it's just really good at this one thing. I'm all about that. And I think Destiny PvP is more fun when it's crazy. Like
I
Supremacy.
agree.
Kind of crazy. Madness.
Wild Wild West, baby.
This feels like an undercover
West.
Bungie employee
Like-
kind of question.
You guys could I'm like, all right, balanced it is.
Hypothetically, I've got a 30-minute stand-up meeting tomorrow.
Why don't they do that? I mean, clearly we have the best opinions.
Clearly. Side pickle? Yeah, clearly.
That new book smell
Side
says...
pickle, I choke on thick air.
It's gonna start happening to you, Mylan.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Yeah,
start.
just you wait.
Yeah,
your
it'll come
body
for
is
you
gonna-
Gonna breathe and go,
too.
"Ugh." Yep.
Your body's gonna be like, you didn't tell me we were gonna start breathing so early after waking up. You gotta ease me into these things.
That new book smell says Mylan mentioned in his Cloud Arc video that it may be impossible for the majority of the Neomuni to come back out of the Cloud Arc. Does that make it this the last generation of the Mooney? How they make the Baba Mooney in there? Baby Mooney in there.
How they make the
becoming
Baba
Sims
Mooney in
fans?
the cloud, though.
The Baba Mooney in the cloud.
Can they make baby Moonies in there?
The
Oh,
Baba
they
Mooney.
actually talk about it in the law. They actually talk
Ah.
about it.
How do
They
they make
say
babies?
something like, how they question is it possible to have a family in the Cloud Ark? You don't really get an answer, but
Of course.
to fill everyone in to what's happening, basically everyone's in a deep sleep underground, like a hibernation. So their physical bodies are still there and their consciousness is uploaded to the Cloud Ark. I think if they were going to have a baby, there are some people on the outside, like medical technicians, and I guess to keep the civilization rolling over, they either need to start defrosting people, or they would probably
Artificial insemination kind of a thing.
pretty much, yeah. I guess that's where I'm going. Yeah.
Like cows.
But I don't know what you do with the baby then. Like, does the baby then get uploaded to the Cloud Ark, and how does the baby?
There's someone who's
Like-
outside that just comes along and sticks their hand in to impregnate, and then
That's
also
not how
takes
you
the
do
baby
it.
and sticks them back in.
There's Neil Mooney kangaroos that just like put them in the pocket and just.
Yeah, maybe they're looked after with
That might
something
be
else. Because the whole thing with the Cloud Ark is you can come out of cryo, but the whole law books pretty much describe how much of a process it was to put people into deep sleep. Like it was this big. It was like, I don't know, putting the entire population of the city underground in deep sleep. Like took all these medical technicians to like actually put people into this like hibernation state, to put them in there, put them in safely, to upload their consciousness. Like it wasn't something that just happened straight away. So like to get everyone out of that area would be an issue. And also you would assume that there would be an impact on their bodies. Like, you know, they're probably, their muscles have likely wasted away. They're like, you know, there's other things that, even though their bodies are alive, that probably would happen to them being in a deep sleep essentially for years. So, yeah, good question.
Yeah, these nerds
and
with their
subscribe.
lore questions. Where's all like the booty, butt cheek questions? Huh? Thought the hobbits were all about that.
That's
Yeah, the
You
ones on
ban
YouTube.
them when they
Not
get
the
too
YouTube
rowdy.
hobbits. Not the YouTube hobbits.
Don't set them up.
Nathaniel Rowland says, when will DCP update the Twitch bio to represent the present cast?
Never.
When will we learn about the Veil? When
Also
Briar
no.
gets marinated?
Yeah.
When Mylan surpasses Aztec Cross as the #1 Destiny lore channel?
Is that an answer or a question?
Oh, they were all questions.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think all of them were never. I think the answer was
Yeah.
never. I think that's the joke.
I will
Never
try
was
and
a-
work on the DCP update in the Twitch bio.
But that is a historic. It's like a museum artifact,
Well, I'm
Brian.
not
You
going to
can't go
take
in there
anybody
and, like,
off
re-
of the list.
I can just
I'll
keep
just
adding
add-
to it.
Yeah, I'll just keep
Oh,
adding.
that's a good idea. Yeah, just keep adding.
It's
30
like
names long.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get the Veil in Season of the Deep? I assume we will get a little bit on the Veil. Like that's what
What did
they've
he
been
say
saying,
about
right?
the secrets or something? Reveal the. That was like the tagline for the season.
Like in the teaser
In the
trailer?
12, they just said.
I bet it's on Twitter.
Oh, Leah's home.
The
I
trailer.
don't know.
Salvage the truth. Salvage the truth.
Oh,
Yeah. What's the lore on
Oh,
salvaging
okay.
the truth, Mylan?
They're bringing
that
back
mean?
Salvage to PvP. The game mode from day one.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. That's definitely.
We
it.
figured it out.
You got to hunt for clues while playing PvP.
I think this. So Savathun is kind of linked to Titan, right? She's all about the truth and stuff. And
I
lies.
mean, yeah. Whenever you think of truth, you think of Savathun. I mean, she did help bring back Mars. So
Ooh, the big boy in the soup is Oryx. We killed him in the raid. He fell down because you could see Saturn. When you look at his body fall and he learned how to swim, he became one with the ocean. And he is the truth we're salvaging.
I think
I
you
don't
should
wanna
make a
be
video
chased
on that,
by-
Mylan. That sounds legit.
I don't want to be chased by sea oryx.
the odds.
Away from me.
Which queen would survive the truth? Season deep salvage the truth. Interesting.
It's Sabathoon. She's coming
So
back.
not only just recycled weapons, but recycled titles.
And a recycled boss. And a recycled NPC. Sloane's back. Unbelievable. And a recycled moon.
Literally
I guess they took
unplayable.
salvage literally.
Cobalt asks, "Hey DCP, with Guardian Games here, I wanted to ask what your favorite Olympic event is, and what events do you think you'd do well at?"
None of them. I would do well at none of them. But I was like the what's it called when they like
Curling.
Curling?
curling? Yeah, you're like doing that.
Yeah.
This one.
Every single professional curling team looks like a bunch of dads who just played on the weekend.
I
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and I love that. I'm like, yeah, I could probably lay down on some ice and just furiously squeegee.
Yeah.
I'm good at washing my car.
Didn't they try to put like esports into the Olympics?
They're
Isn't
in
that a
there, and
thing?
they're fun to watch. I like watching that, like the BMXing, and the vert ramps, like
not
that kind of stuff.
esports.
Skate.
That's
Oh, I'm
X
sorry. I thought you said
Games.
X,
Yeah,
X Games.
X-Sports.
You and your alphabet, bro.
Hey, I got a G. dude.
Like that esports BMXing.
BMX?
Somebody didn't get their
I don't wanna
alphabet
see video
license.
gamers on the vert ramp.
Why would you put esports
No,
in the
didn't they?
Olympics? That doesn't make any sense.
It's happening. I've heard about it.
What are you
I
gonna
don't
do?
know
just
what
won
they
the League of-
decided to put in there.
You just won the League of Legends trophy. Now you get to go on the vert ramp.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
The Olympics is so weird because it just whoever hosts it, they're just in millions of dollars of debt, and the players don't get any money from it. And it's like, unless you're insanely popular, 100-meter sprinter, it's I don't know, it's odd.
I like to watch it because I watch.
Esports.
It's like I just end up watching a bunch of sports that I never watched before, and like it gives you a chance
Yeah.
to like
I like watching.
find out who the people are that actually like compete in this, and like even like some of like how this sport works like between the years of the Olympics is kind of always fascinating. I will say though that some of the sports now make me sad when I watch them because I've learned more about like what the competitors have to go through, like leading up to like the
Sure,
gymnastics.
sure.
I can't watch anymore. You know, like the abuse those girls have had to go through,
Yeah.
like going into the training for that, and like some real horror stories that like it really is kind of taking the fun out of watching that sport for me.
I will say I need some like collective agreement on this. I don't have cable anymore, and I assume there's probably a bunch of people out there listening that don't have cable. But I do love watching the Olympics. But the way to watch the Olympics without cable is like to subscribe to like Peacock or something like that. And they don't have like a cumulative channel that just is constantly streaming random stuff. You have to like choose your sport, or like it's kind of
Makes it hard.
convoluted. I used to love just putting on NBC or something like that on cable and just having them show me random stuff because I'd see stuff that I like never would have chosen to watch before, and they're doing like the semifinal, the final.
I
And
agree
now
with
you're
you on
like-
that, yeah.
You're like, I'm watching the first like quarterfinals, and it's like 100 competitors, and I really don't care about this level of it. I don't know, it's really weird.
Yeah, like it's great if you want to watch like if you want to watch like the U.S. men curling and you want to watch every match, it's great because you can totally do that. But if you just want like you're saying, it's like the rotation of like all the different sports, just to like check it all
The
out.
highlights.
Yeah, it's not as good.
Guys, I don't mean to alarm you.
Oh.
But virtual esports is in Singapore June this year.
Okay, what are they
You do
playing?
not have long to train.
Why did we not get an invite?
You can play Fortnite for the shooting event and be an Olympic champion in Fortnite. You can do motorsport and play Gran Turismo.
Briar, you have a
can do
chance.
dancing.
That's
do
such
Just
bullshit.
Dance?
Wait a minute, hold up,
That's
hold up.
right. Just dances in there.
That's
I
such
remember
bullshit.
now.
They won't have actual car racing in the Olympics, but they will have video game car racing.
Briar, you like VR and racing.
That's the fucking
Don't-
dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like,
You can do chess.
we won't let you
on
have the
chess.com.
actual sport in this competition, but we will let you do the pretend version.
I don't make the rules. I don't want you yelling at me for
Oh,
it.
Milo, it's your fault.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
We're-
wild. Fun fact: did you know that there is a guy who was a streamer in the Destiny community in D1 who hung up his Destiny hat and became a competitive Gran Turismo racer.
No, I didn't
and
know
is
that.
like
I
very
didn't know
successful
that.
at it. Apex Chris, do you remember him? Apex Chris?
No.
I don't know if anyone
Rings a
remembers him.
bell.
I used to stream with him all the time. Real great guy.
Oh shit.
Hey, that's awesome.
Danish from Denmark.
There's a
Wow.
Gran Turismo movie coming out.
That's
I
really
wonder if
cool.
it'll be in it.
It actually looks decent too.
Hard
That's an
disagree.
Okay, all right.
Briar hates all movies.
That's
So
not true.
don't feel
We
too
don't
bad.
typically disagree
He
on
hates
stuff.
the Batman.
Haven't
Well,
Do
you
you hate
seen
the Batman?
The Batman was boring.
Briar's over here like, cinema genius is Wedding Crashers.
Office
But get this
Space,
Batman
best
stuff
movie
out.
of all time.
Dude, Office Space is a banger.
Yeah.
All right.
Idiocracy, second best movie of all
Nice.
time.
What's that? Is this darts?
There are some of it. We could be Olympians. This is archery, and it very much looks like it's on a mobile phone.
Like, is this Destiny?
Like, if we invest time now, we could go to Singapore, June, and become Olympians.
And just
Hashtag
tap on
ad.
Lives with me.
tap on the target as fast as you can with your finger.
By the looks of it, yeah.
This is
Oh, I can do
mind-blowing.
that. I'm on the case.
It's trying to like emulate
Archery.
scope.
They're
Also-
literally using an iPad at the Olympics.
Also, I just want to say that Teespring in chat said, "Look at the Gran Turismo movie. It's about Apex, Chris."
Oh,
Shut.
No freaking
What?
way. No freaking way.
A movie?
I mean, that's
Oh,
really that's incredible. If that is true, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Thuggy T says, what do you guys think about the lack of conversation from Bungie about the server issues? Do you think it's time to leave last gen behind? The systems are on the shelves now and more available than when Beyond Light was out. Their silence is a little concerning.
I mean, they're probably in development of whatever the next iteration is, potentially a new engine or something like that. I imagine they've been working on that for a while.
Yeah, I agree. The stuff with the servers and instability is. Look, I thought everyone was overreacting at first. I will admit, I was like, you guys are all overreacting. It does seem pretty bad.
Yeah. I think they're
Well-
being transparent, and you don't need to give us like a whole thing, but I think a lot of people are concerned about server instability, and I think talking about it wouldn't be terrible.
I would guess that they're waiting until they have a fix before they talk about it. This to me is something like talking about cheating. It's just introducing the thought is just going to put a poor taste in everybody's mind. If let's talk about it when we've come up with a solution, as opposed to just acknowledge that it's a problem.
I do have to let the cat out of the bag. I'm pretty sure it's completely my fault because the server issue started happening exactly when I flipped my schedule to daytime. So as soon as I started being like playing the game and being live at
you.
reset, just like literally the first week, it was just like, all right, you're not playing for 3 hours.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just blame J time.
Yeah,
Oh,
send
my
your
fault.
questions and concerns.
I'm comfortable
to
with that.
Jay Sniperton
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
Twitter.
Anytime the server problems, you know where to
Yeah.
go.
Hey Jay, the servers are down again.
Yeah. I ate my side pickle too quickly.
Send them a
Sorry.
picture of your pickle.
That would be permanent damage to the Destiny servers.
I don't think he ever got his license to share pickle pics.
Share pickle pics.
Pickle picks is now my favorite thing to say. That's a great pickle picks.
I think I'm gonna send some pickle pics to Tefty tonight, just to let him know I'm thinking of him. All right, that's gonna do it for this one. I think there's more questions, but we're running out of time here.
Ask them again. Just keep asking until they get read. We'll get there eventually.
That's right. Unless they're just bad question, I'm skipping them because I don't like them. It could be that too. You never know.
You'll never know.
But of course it's not that because Briar wouldn't do that.
That's right, Tom.
No.
It was a good question. I just didn't.
Not
get
my
it.
good Christian Briar.
That's gonna wrap this episode up. Episode number I don't know. Thank you
Solve the
guys
mysteries.
all for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with more Destiny news.
Yup. What else are we gonna do? More pickles?
I mean, I'm probably going to be signed up to some Olympic esport, to be honest, by the time.
You go start getting
looking-
your
I'm
Olympic
looking-
esports on.
Best
Give us an
iPad
update.
tapper in Australia. Oh,
He doesn't even have his pen license.
I am going to shout out the other podcast, though, because we got Wilson coming on. One of my
do it.
favorite people in the whole world is going to be on the Retro Slot podcast. He actually sent me a Nintendo Entertainment System that's RGB modded. I cannot believe how good this NES looks. It's insane.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Well,
And
he's
Wilson's
gonna
one of my
have to
favorite
watch
people in the whole
show.
world. And of course, he's amazing at Destiny as well.
Yeah, Wilson's great.
Yeah, he is awesome. We'll see if we can get him to
But,
take his sunglasses and hat off for this podcast.
But then it wouldn't be him.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
a good point. All right, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Goodbye.
Get out. Doors closing time.
Closing time.